elections. The Soviet people stage a comeback for the radical Moscow candidate Boris Yeltsin and push Soviet dissident Andrei Sakharov into the heated political arena of Red Square. Hardliners and radicals viciously play tug-of-war, dominating Kremlin politics. Voters would be forced to choose who would lead the Second Russian Revolution. In the early years of the Second Russian Revolution, Gorbachev led the way. The people and the party, with more or less enthusiasm, followed. Then Gorbachev announced the first ever genuine parliamentary election in the Soviet Union, to be held in the spring of 1989. A new concept, a new body, and a new name.
The Congress of People's Deputies. It was a real revolution, the beginnings of perestroika. Everything before that was really just superficial.
Never before had going to the polls meant anything in the Soviet Union. The very idea of more than one candidate was a novelty. An epidemic of election fever gripped the people. Anyone who could muster 500 signatures of support could be nominated. But before their names appeared on the ballot, they had to be approved at meetings controlled by the party. The party planned that Gorbachev's new Congress of People's Deputies would be dominated by the party. But many people, especially in the big cities, thought otherwise. Boris Yeltsin was not a man to turn a deaf ear. He was still in the party, though he had been disgraced and stripped of his top party posts. He was once again challenging the party's might.
Of course, I didn't expect it to be all smiling faces. But to go about it like that, to use pressure in that way, organized by the whole propaganda machine. The entire propaganda machine was used to back my opponent, and I was left with only my volunteer army.
But among Moscow's middle-aged matrons, volunteers were not hard to find. They were with Yeltsin as vehemently as the party machine was against him.
Well, my political enemies tried to get all kinds of information on me. There were all sorts of innuendos, slander. They even published this booklet on how to criticize me during election meetings. The city party committee handed out these booklets to everyone.
1/3 of the seats in the new parliament were reserved for official bodies, such as the Academy of Sciences. Thousands of scientists had nominated the eminent physicist and one-time exile Andrei Sakharov. But his dissident past was too much for the Academy's governing board. They rejected him.
There were rallies right here, in the little courtyard, outside these windows in the courtyards of the Academy. They had to find a way to get Sakharov on the ballot. Sakharov was at this rally. The photo of him standing in the crowd in the courtyard here appeared in newspapers all over the world.
If the Academy wouldn't have Sakharov, many ordinary constituencies would.
I went to the election meeting where Sakharov was being nominated. I came out of the subway, and I saw a long line of people. I couldn't understand it. Well, we Soviets always want to know what people are standing in line for. I thought the line was for a furniture shop nearby. There were several thousand people. Of course, I was wrong. They said, "We've come to support Sakharov."
But Sakharov insisted on standing for his Academy of Sciences or for no one at all. Protest from its members forced the Academy to back down and nominate Sakharov as a candidate. He was duly elected. Churches and cinemas, sports grounds and underground stations became venues for the radical candidates standing against the official party nominees. The choice before the voters was not between two parties, but between orthodox communists and reformers.
They mobilized all their forces throughout the city for our district, and we did the same. All our subway stations in our district were filled by people. It was direct confrontation, pickets against pickets, slogans against slogans. It was war of leaflets. Even sometimes direct clashes between two parties.
People were sent to cover my rallies, so they really knew my speeches. Every time I left those rallies, policemen would come up to me and whisper, "Don't worry, we're with you." They were the first to congratulate me when I won the election. They knew the results at 2 a.m. at the party headquarters, but they were too embarrassed to announce it. A smiling policeman ran across the street and he said, "You won, you won. You got 75% of the vote." He told me this before the election results were public. Then he said, "Can I have your autograph?"
In one church, after communion, the communion bread was wrapped in paper. On it was written, "Vote for Kazanik." So that was a real act of courage for the clergyman. The clergy had never been involved in any kind of political propaganda and had never before openly campaigned for any candidate.
Boris Yeltsin won with 89% of votes cast in Moscow. Though radicals won fewer than 20% of the seats all over the Soviet Union, they humiliated the party. In Leningrad, all the official candidates were defeated. The Second Russian Revolution